Hi guys, we've got another question here. It's called group anagrams. Like we spoke about in an earlier question, anagrams, this is the definition here, but basically it's a word or phrase formed by rearranging the letters of a different word or phrase. So basically, you have the same characters just repeated in a different order. So that's what an anagram is. And in this question, they're asking us they're basically telling us there's an array of strings. So this is the array of strings, and we have to group the anagrams together, and we have to present it as a list of lists. So bat does not have an anagram with something else because there's no b anywhere else. So bat is provided as one list. The nat and tan, they are anagrams of each other, so they are combined in one list, and all of these are anagrams of each other, so they are combined in as one list. So the question is, how do we do that? And essentially, what this boils down to is we have to basically find a blueprint of each of these strings, and that blueprint could be a hash map or it could be an array, but we have to basically, the blueprint will have the information on the character, each of these characters, and it could be anywhere from a to z. So there could be 26 characters, a constant, and we have to have the count of those characters. So you could have that blueprint in a hash map or in an array. If you were to do it in a hash map, you would have a as the key, and then the number of times it's repeated as the value. And if you were to do it in an array, then you could have an array of 26 positions starting from 0 to 25, and you could encode the value on each index, which would be a representation of how many times that character occurred. So a, for example, if a occurred once, then on index 0 you will have 1. If A occurred 3 times, then in index 0 you'll have 3, and E would have an index of 4 because 5 minus 1 arrays are 0 based. So on index 4 you'll have 1, and so on and so forth. So for this solution, we'll go with an we'll have a that would uh, hash map that would actually store the blueprint of each of them, and the blueprint would be the key, and the value would be this particular string, the string that had that blueprint, and then we can basically pull a list of list. So instead of doing just a hash map directly, we'll use a default dictionary. And the slight difference between when we can use a default dictionary versus when we use a hash map is, if we are trying to add a value to a key that does not exist already, if we were to use a plain simple hash map, it will give us an error, or we'll have to initialize it with that key that does not exist. But if we were to use a default dictionary and give an associated data type, for example, what the value should be, the value here should be a list type, because that's what we want to give, a list of lists. So in that case, even if the key does not occur, we can initiate it, or add to it, or append to it, even when it does not occur, is not there to begin with. So we'll see when we proceed, but we'll say hash map, and we'll call it a collections.default dictionary. This is the syntax, and then each value should be as a list. So this is our hash map. It is of course empty right now, and then so this is the strings list. So we'll go for each string in strings, and here is where we'll have to either use a hash map or an array to basically count, to get the specific blueprint. So I'll use an array, and I'll say 0 cross 26. So what does this do? This gives us an array. This basically is the same as this thing here, 0 comma 0 comma 0 until 26 times. That's what this means. This is an abbreviated syntax, 26 times overall. All right. And here, because I put this sign here, so this is commented, so it's not going to interfere with anything on the left side. All right. So we initiated this array, and then we'll say for each character in the string, in the specific string that we are talking about. Now, how do we increment? How do we get it? So what we'll have to do is we'll have to say count of what? Count of that. Uh, So this is the key, and this is the key. So here we'll say if we are looking at this specific character. So for example, if we are on eat, right? So we'll have to have the associated value of e. And how will we get this? Odd is a function that gives us the ASCII value. So e has an ASCII value, and if we subtract the ASCII value of a, so we'll say minus odd of a, and we'll say plus equals to 1. So what this is doing is if c, if the character c, which is e in the first instance, how much removed it is from a. So if it is 5 removed from a, it will say count of 5 is, and there is where we'll add 1. So basically e will get a 1. But it's not only for e. Here the way this is going to turn up is this is going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, and then this would become 1 for E, and then it will go to the second character, and then A would become 1, and then T would become 1 eventually, which is further to the right. But that's how it will go on. So ultimately we'll have an array where it will be a 1 or a 2 or whatever, however many number of counts that particular character occurred, and that would be the blueprint, right? So now we got that blueprint for this string, and then we'll say this. We'll say for this hash map, actually this will have to happen after this loop has, after this is not moving to the left. Got So after the second loop ends, so we'll have to say hash map of, and here we'll say tuple of count. The reason why we have to say tuple is because count is an array, is a list, and lists are not hashable because uh, so this is a Python only thing, but basically lists are not hashable. So we use this tuple thing and we convert them into a tuple, and that's it. The inside of this thing will be the same. It's just that the data type is getting changed. So now this can be hashable, so it can be used as a key. And to this, what will we append? We'll append because this is a list. We initiated the values as a list. So here we said for this string, this is the blueprint. So we'll append this string here. And because we are going through every string, at the end of the day, what happens is for the blueprint, the list gets appended. So if the blueprint is the same, those two lists will be appended on the same for the same key. So at the end of the day, we'll just return, and this would be hash map dot values. So meaning all the lists that occur on the right side is what will give the answer back as. And it gets accepted. So see you in the next one.